Hey, Murphy. Yeah, the link's still the same. You're welcome. Bye-bye. Let's have a big round of applause for our musical guest, Roberto Jr. and and Daniel Romo.
Gary, I didn't have the headphones connected, so when I logged in, it blasted it really loud.
The first song or the second song?
The first one.
Oh, good. Exercise song. I got a little Zumba class going with
Had
Kumbaya.
Bonnie over here dancing as soon as she heard it.
They do that at Zumba, don't they?
It seems like a good Zumba song, so maybe, yeah.
Good morning.
Hi, Gladys.
Hi. Good morning.
Hi, Myra. Fernando, I made you a co-host, so when you're ready to share your screen, you just press the share button at the bottom and share either the window or the app, whatever you like.
Okay, thank you, Larry.
Mhm.
Okay, Fernando and Gary, it's 11 o'clock. You guys ready to get started?
Ready, sir?
Okay, so introduce myself. My name is Patrick. I'm Operations Director for Arizona Work Yuma County. And I just want to first thank our IT department for putting this training together, working on the policy and in conjunction with the Teagle. So what I wanted to do was kind of just reinforce how important this is, that you attend the training and make sure that you review the policy. Also review Teagle 39-11. And then at the end of the policy, there's actually a signature page. On that signature page, you need to print your name, sign it, and acknowledge that you understand the policy and the Teagle. And then for our contractors, for project directors, you will keep those on hand. You don't have to turn them into our HR. For board staff, you will need to put your name on them, sign them, and those will be held at our HR. For incoming personnel, new personnel, or people that may have missed this link or the one on the 14th, which is Thursday. IT department will record this. They will have a link for you. So when you do get new staff, when they do their DES MCNIC training or security training, then they can review the policy, review the recording, and then retain that on hand. Again, it's very, very important. It's kind of like a showstopper, career ender. You know, it's actually punishable by law for violation of PII. So please pay attention to that. And with that, Fernando and Gary, I'll turn it back over to you.
Thank you, Patrick. Basically, I'm sure, I hope you all had the chance to review the TEGL and the policy. TEGL 3911 has been around forever. And basically what it says is we have to protect the PII that's entrusted to us from the clients, and we can't be just storing that wherever or keeping it forever. As far as retention, we could keep it only as long as we're required to by retention law. And as far as gathering it, you know, we have a few basic methods of gathering it and holding it for the time that we need to. We can get PII in person from our clients. They might bring us a birth certificate or whatever. That's one way that we might get it. We might get it by email. And you got to be careful with email because if a client sends you an email, it's not going to be it's not going to meet the encryption standard held forth by the TEGL. So unless you have encrypting plugin for your email, like State uses Virtru and we use Virtru, you'll need to use the Virtru plugin for handling PII in your email. Equus and Ross, your IT may provide you with a different service, but as far as State of Arizona goes and YPIC goes, we're using the Virtru. Now, when we have to collect PII data from a client and we have an email communication with them, what we have to do internally is generate an email in Virtru or with the Virtru plugin enabled and send that to the client for them to respond to within the Virtru app. They don't have to have Virtru themselves, but we just have to provide them the method that they could use our Virtru to respond to that email. So we don't want our clients, our participants to just send us PII unsolicited. You know, we want to have that exchange going on, the secure exchange happening beforehand rather than after. Then once we get the email, whatever PII it is, and we have to process it, we're going to look at it, verify it, maybe destroy it, but you know, we may have to store it. And the only authorized ways that we have that are TEGL compliant for storing of the data are in either AJC or ISDS. And again, we can't be keeping stuff forever in there. We need to follow our retention rules. And if you need to transfer a document between two parties or two agencies, and it's too large for email, the only approved method by the TEGL would be for encrypted thumb drive. And I've seen that some of our participants have the encrypted thumb drive already so that they can hand off the data on the thumb drive and it's kept secure in case that thumb drive is lost. Anyways, Fernando's prepared a little presentation that goes over the text of the TEGL and the policy. And it's beautiful. It's eye-catching. I had a chance to preview it. I was really impressed by it. It looks good and presents the data in a nice way, very client-friendly way. So I'm going to turn it over to Fernando now, and he's going to go ahead and present that. And if you would, please save questions for the end, and we'll handle as many questions as we can in the time allotted before we all have to break for lunch.
Thank you, Gary. I'm gonna share my screen. Can you see it right now? Yep.
Yes,
Okay.
yes.
So let's begin. Protected personally identifiable information, the PII policy. Compliance with Title 3911 and applicable laws. The policy states that the agency, Arizona at Work, Yuma County, is required to follow and satisfy the requirements for Title 3911 and all relevant laws regarding the handling of protected and sensitive personally identifiable information, PII. Collection and handling of PII. Staff and partners are instructed to collect only the necessary, sensitive, or protected PII for eligibility. This collection can be done in person through secure document storage systems or via encrypted email like Virtue, right? It emphasized that only authorized staff should have access to PII and photocopies should be immediately destroyed after use. Storage and transfer of PII. The policy outlines approved methods for storing and transferring sensitive or protected PII. It specifies that such information should not be stored on agency workstation, personal devices, not encrypted storage devices, or cloud storage unless approved. Cloud storage like Google Drive, okay? The authorized storage methods mentioned include AJC and ISDS. Retention and auditing. Staff and partners are instructed to store sensitive or protected PII only for as long as necessary for eligibility purposes and as required by law. The policy highlights the importance of having a purge date to identify documents that need to be regularly purged. It also informs staff and partners that federal and states or local monitors, auditors may inspect computers and storage systems for legally allowable purposes, including the retention of PII. Enforcement and penalties. The policy states that staff and partners found to be in violation of the policy may face disciplinary actions, including potential termination. It also warns that civil and criminal penalties may apply for non-compliance with the policy and applicable privacy laws, emphasizing the seriousness of safeguarding and protected and sensitive PII. If you want to access quickly right now through your phones, you have these QR codes that you can use for view the Title 3911 or the PII policy. Do you have questions?
All right, Fernando. Hey, that was great. Great presentation. Thank you. I see that we have one question asks about the CRS, and the CRS isn't really a document storage system, so we shouldn't be putting documents in there. And also because the CRS is open to a much wider group of users than the ISDS is, we shouldn't be storing a PII, protected PII in the CRS system. You know, there was a concern a while back. We had that some agencies were trying to use it as their case management system because they didn't have their own case management system, and they had all kinds of stuff, personal information and PII medical information about the participants in there. We had to go and purge all that out. So there's only 3 or 4 required fields in the CRS, and they're not protected PII. The system is password protected and encrypted, so it's very secure, but it's not really the place to be storing documents. It doesn't have that capacity.
So just to clarify, Gary, because we are entering the first, last name, email, and phone number, we are still able to use it to refer individuals to other agencies.
Absolutely. It's good
Okay.
as a referral system, and you know, that's not protected PII. Oh, let's see. Mariana has her hand up. Yes, Mariana.
Gary, the question is for the events database. So the events database requests information. Obviously, we can select it, right? But we request the last four of social, age group. And I think those are two of the main concern right now.
Okay, the event registration system, like the ISDS, it has a very small subset of users on the system, so it's, and it doesn't store documents, so we do gather some information about people in there, but it's stored in the encrypted database, and the users that have access to get to that data are very limited. They're actually ISDS users already, so they fall under the same protections.
All right, perfect. Because we do download that data and share that over to Veronica, Employment Services, and we do share that with project managers, directors. So just send that information via Virtue.
Yes, the as long as it's transmitted securely, you know, I guess we have to trust that the receiver of that information uses it properly.
Correct.
The only person that you mentioned in that group that might not already be an ISDS user would be DES. But everybody else, you know, the AWC and Ross and Equus are already ISDS users, and events uses that same backend.
Perfect. Thank you for clarifying, Gary.
You're welcome.
I have a question. So for participant files, is this still the 3-year rule that we can keep those files like a confidential file folder?
I'm going to defer that to compliance, but that's my understanding.
And then
As
5
far as
years for
paper
the
files.
financial data,
Mhm.
as long as it's under lock and key, correct?
That's my understanding, but I can't answer that authoritatively. I'll defer that to a compliance.
Mercy, this is Anna.
Anna.
For retaining, for WIOA, retaining files is 3 years.
Okay, and as long as they're under lock and key, we're fine?
Correct.
Okay. And then for the financial is the 5 years?
I'm not sure about that part. Probably, I don't know if Steve is.
7.
Hi, Steve.
7 years.
7 years.
We're following IRS regulations.
Okay.
Okay, we will be sending out a link with the meeting recording link, and also another link in case you didn't have it or lost it for the PII policy. And make sure everybody you know, downloads and reads and understands. Get back to us if you have any. Get back to your supervisor if you have any questions. If your supervisor, get with your manager. If you're a manager, then get with Patrick and for any questions, and we'll get anything answered that we can. And you know, very important to, you know, if you actually go back and read Teagle 3911 in the first paragraph, it says all users will read, understand, and sign. So that's make sure you get page 3 off the policy and sign that, get that turned into your supervisor.
Gary, another quick question. So as long as we're working with participants and the data is used through a encrypted or virtue site, and we're working with them, even if they're in follow-up, that information can stay in our email system until the person is completely purged out of the system?
Email, when you talk about email and you're actively working with them, then it's understood that it's if you're handling PII, it's going to be encrypted, and that's fine. You could store that for the length of time that you use it. And then if you're actually talking about documents, they should go into ISDS or AJC.
Or
But
else,
if it's an email question, hey, so-and-so with the birth date of this and, and social of this, that should always be encrypted when you're sending the email. And then as soon as you've verified that, you should delete that and then empty your deleted items.
thank you.
So quick question, Gary, is our SharePoint considered like a web-based or what do you call that, the cloud?
Your SharePoint, as far as I understand, the Microsoft solution to cloud storage, as far as I understand, is not Teagle compliant for PII.
It's not?
As my understanding, it's not, but you'll have to get with your own IT to make that
What are you talking?
decision on that. But I know with we're on the Google solution, the Google Workspace, and in Google Workspace, one of their criteria for having an account with them is you shall not store PII on their system or they will cut your account because they don't want the risk and the threat. So I'm sure Microsoft's probably the same way. The Teagle specifically says not to be storing on non-IT managed in-house information systems. So from that point, 365 SharePoint is probably not going to cut it for PII.
Okay, so what do we do, Patrick? Do we send something to you once we get clarification from our IT? Because I thought they had said when we had transferred all the information that it was being overseen and protected when we had done the transfer from YPIC email to the SharePoint. We'll just send some, whatever the response is to you.
Yeah, you can do that.
Okay.
I have another question. BizHub. So when we're doing the eligibility, we have to scan all of the stuff to ourselves, like check stubs and other information. Is that encrypted?
Yes, BizHubs are encrypted. They come through the our email server, and then they go right to you guys, and they're encrypted in transit. So as soon as you get them, if you want to forward them on to somebody else, you need to ensure that you're continuing to use the encryption if you're sending it out, and if you're just saving them on your desktop so that you could upload them to ISDS, that's good. But make sure you delete them when you're done.
Thank you.
All righty, Fernando, any observations, anything else to add?
No, that's it.
Okay, Jesus asked, what is the part we need to sign? It's page 3 of the download. You have to fill in your name and date and the signature and get that page back to your supervisor. Okay, I'm scrolling through the chat. I don't see any more questions. Do we have any more questions?
Gary, I just had something to add.
Mm-hmm.
I know that when Equus first moved over to Microsoft Office, the IT actually remoted in and synced your desktop to your OneDrive. And I just wanted to ensure that you guys know, or just let you guys know that if your desktop is still synced to your OneDrive, then any documents that you're saving on your desktop will automatically be copied over. So just be aware of that you would have to go in and delete that.
Thank you, Siobhan. I think that kind of addresses what Veronica was asking a moment ago about the stuff that was transferred over. Gonna probably have to hear back from Equus IT department on how between them and their legal department how they read the Teagle and of their Microsoft agreement allows for PII storage, but as far as I understand, the Teagle does not. Okay, well, if there are no more questions, I'll turn it over to Patrick. Thank you, Patrick, for this time and opportunity.
Okay, Gary, thank you guys, and a lot of good questions, and I guess thank you, Gary, for not having a pop quiz at the end of this, so they don't have to pass an exam. So
If I had a
just-
Starbucks card, I'd ask a dad joke. but-
yeah. But yeah, just remember, make sure that you signed the affidavit at the end of the policy. And then make sure that's all done, and project directors and managers that you have that done by 1 August. So for staff that are not completed by 1 August, will lose access to the computers and all the associated programs that go with that. So please make sure that you get that completed. And with that, we'll go ahead and close it out. And Gary, Fernando, and everybody attended, thank you.
Thank you very much.
Gary, this is Elena. So the
Yes.
one scheduled for tomorrow, is that a separate training or the same one
The one scheduled for Friday is the
Right.
same thing. It's just in the afternoon.
for Friday? Okay, it's the same thing. Okay, thank
Mhm.
you.
You're welcome.
And how soon will what do you call it? The tape recording be available to us?
As soon as Zoom gets it done, I'll send out the link, hopefully by the end of the day.
Perfect, thank you.
You're welcome.